For the past handful of years, Minecraft has been beefing up its soundtrack with a bunch of new music being added to the game. All of these composers, and especially C418, have done a crazy good job with the music. These ambient tracks are so good to listen to. They're fantastic. It's hard for my monkey brain to put into words how good those tracks are, but there's one selection of in-game music that isn't so ambient, those being the music discs. As of this video being made during 1.21, there are a total of 19 different music discs in the game that can all be slapped into a jukebox. However, you probably don't want to jam out to all of these. Some are better than others. So today, I'm going to be ranking all of these discs from worst to best. Now, since these are all just songs or sound effects in some cases, this is going to be a rather subjective list. That's just the nature of these things. Also, I'm going to organize the discs into different tiers because I think that's just helpful. Starting off, we got the F tier. These are easily the three most predictable entries on this list, as they're more like spooky sound effect audio files rather than fun songs to listen to. And dead last, at number 19, we have 11. There is actually just no music to this one. It is just scary noises. There's like a player mining, coughing, fumbling with materials, and then running for their life or something. It's just a spooky audiobook. I remember when I first started playing Minecraft all those years ago, I was in creative mode just listening to all the different discs. I almost immediately ejected 11 out of that jukebox just because it was scaring the shit out of me. Kinda funny, but other than that, this disc is just not it. Not much better at number 18, we have 13. Again, this is another spooky sound effect disc, but there's some ambient-ish music that plays during it. Still freaky though. There's some sound effects sprinkled in there, like a skeleton firing an arrow, but it's mainly a spooky, unsettling ambient track. The only reason I'm placing it higher than 11 is because I feel like 13 is more iconic or recognizable. But yeah, 11 and 13 are very similar. I don't get enjoyment out of listening to them. Number 17, the last F tier, 5. Yet another creepy disc, but I like this one more than the other two. This disc is found in fragments in ancient cities that you then have to craft together to form the disc. And because it's found down there, this disc seems to tell the story of the Skulk and the Warden's origin. I'm no lore expert or anything, but I think it follows a player with some army escaping underground from some monster, maybe the Wither, then possibly opening a portal or something that floods their city full of Skulk and big boy wardens. Again, this is just kind of my speculation. There's also a peaceful little tune sprinkled in during that story. I find the sound design of this disc way more interesting than 11 and 13, and the peaceful music is actually nice to listen to. It doesn't last long though. I like this disc, but I'm never gonna pop it into a jukebox on my own free will, which is why I have it down in the F tier. But now, let's go on up to the C tier. From here on out, all of these discs are just music. No more scary storytelling. I'm just going to rank them on how much I enjoy said music, which is going to be a bit more difficult. However, I don't really care for these C tiers. Number 16 is Mellow. Mellow. I don't know how to pronounce this one. This disc is a short little guy, and it's also just kind of a downer. Super mellow with slow strings, drums, and maybe some guitar thing. Either way, this song doesn't exactly put me in a good mood, and it ends before it even goes anywhere. Basically, if I go through the struggle of having a skeleton kill a creeper for this, I'm gonna be rather disappointed. It isn't bad by any means, I just personally don't really care for it. Number 15, Creator Music Box. This disc is a little funky because to me it feels like a little bonus disc thrown into the update just for fun. It's a shortened music box rendition of Creator, which I will get to later. For what it's worth, it's a fine little disc. It's short and sweet, but I have one huge issue with it, unrelated to the music. Both Creator discs follow the coloring scheme of copper, which is cool, I like that a lot. But how come the watered down, stripped away music box version of the song is the pure, non-oxidized copper color, and then the full, complete version of the song with all the instruments is the weathered down, stripped down, oxidized color of copper? Does this bother anyone else? It's been really bugging me since these discs were revealed. I feel like their textures should be swapped. I don't know. Okay, B tier time. These discs I consider to be good and solid and perfectly fine, but there's just others that I like more than them. Number 14, Stall. I want to like this disc a lot more than I do. It's a nice little jazz piece that starts out strong with a sweet, succulent saxophone, but quickly tosses it out the window for some flute recorder thing. I don't hate it. I mean, it's a little fun and goofy, but Luckily, it doesn't persist throughout the whole song. I really like the parts where it's just guitar, piano, bass, and drums just all jamming out. If it wasn't for that weird flute recorder thing, this disc would be a bit higher on the list. Number 13, Relic. Relic is this crusty old disc you can dig up in the trail ruins, so 99% of players will probably never obtain it. But if you do, you're treated to some nice and uplifting 8-bit sounding tunes. Over time, drums and more percussion is added to fill out the sound along with some bass stuff. I don't have all too much to say about this one, as it is just a fun and relaxing song to listen to. The big complaint I have is that I find the main 8-bit sounding instrument to just be slightly annoying. I don't really know how to explain it, it's just at this right pitch to do so. It reminds me of that whining noise from Sonic 2's Hilltop Zone. I don't know if that comparison helps, but who knows. Number 12, Chirp. Starting out, Chirp sounds like some old lady song, like you're putting an old record on a phonograph. It has a soothing, muted tone, until about halfway through the song it switches up into something more bright and not muffled. It really sounds like something from Stardew Valley if you squint hard enough. For me, this disc is really saved by its second half. Not that the first part is bad by any means, I just really enjoy that second half a lot more. Number 11, B for Blocks. To me, this synth-heavy disc sounds like the type of music you'd be hearing in your head while doing some building. You know, placing down a bunch of blocks.
He said it! He said it!
It is the longest disc in the game at just under 6 minutes. It is slightly repetitive, but has 3 distinct different sections throughout the song, which certainly helps. I don't really have all too much to say regarding this disc, it's just a solid track. Number 10, Mall. Mall is pretty similar to Blocks, being another relaxed synthy piece. It's so similar to Blocks, in fact, that I also do not really know what to say for this one. It's shorter, which I kind of prefer. What makes me enjoy it more is the more energetic drums that were injected into this one. I like my discs to have a bit more energy in them. Alright, and that's the end of the B tier. The A tier is here because I feel like these discs have a bit more pizzazz to them that sets them apart from those lowly B tiers. They're not just good, they're pretty darn great, but still not my absolute favorites, aka the S tier. With that said, number 9, Strad. This is the one with those sweet steel drums, and it's a nice chill tune. The steel drums and other drums that come in later give it almost a tropical vibe, but the backing strings and bell chimes are what really makes this disc stand out to me. It just sounds so grand. It has a unique sound to it, and I really like the instrumentation, which is why I think it belongs in this A tier. Number 8. Yeah, I think I'm putting Pigstep here. I know a lot of players would put this as like their top 1, 2, or 3 favorite discs in the game, but hear me out. This disc was the shit back in 2020 when it first came out, but I don't know. Since then, I guess I've heard it so many times that I care about it less. The shock value of hearing dubstep in Minecraft just isn't there for me anymore. When I find it in a Bastion, I just think to myself, oh, cool, I got Pigstep. I'm not bouncing off the walls with glee. Anyway, the actual music is just some neat dubsteppy music. It's got a nice groove to it, and I like the main melody. But other than that, the disc doesn't do a whole lot else, which is okay. Still a great disc. I just know that my opinion is probably a whole lot different than most people. Please don't hurt me. Number 7, Far. This one starts out deceptively simple. There's just some airy synths going about mysteriously, giving you that feeling that you're far, far away from home and everything you know. Some more instruments come in to further that feeling, but about halfway in, a piano joins the party. I am a sucker for a good piano. So many video games use a piano in their soundtracks, and like every time they do it, it just sounds incredible. And so I love its inclusion here in Far. But when the piano takes over as kind of the lead instrument, that's when the disc really shines. That shit is just heavenly. My only gripe is that it isn't any longer. Number 6. Precipice. This is one of the rewards you can get from clearing a trial chamber, and because of that, this disc has a rather triumphant feel to it. It is loud, in your face, and energetic. Instrumentation is pretty nice too. I'm quite fond of those little bells that kick off the song. Near the halfway mark, some groovy ass guitars come in, which I really dig. They don't stay for too long, unfortunately. Overall, I really like this song as a whole, but what holds it back just a bit for me is that it's a tad on the repetitive side. The main melody just kinda persists throughout the whole song and constantly loops over and over. It just ends up sounding pretty samey. There's no other music disc that quite sounds like Precipice, so I really hope we get more in the future that go for this triumphant feel. Number 5. Cat. This is such a classic and nostalgic disc, man. It's usually the one a player will find first, as you can get them in simple dungeon chests. This disc just sounds so whimsical and carefree. If I were to go into this guy's little head, I think along with all the cobwebs and rusted gears, I'd hear Cat playing on a loop at all times. Number 4. Other Side. I'm sure a lot of you were waiting for this one. My favorite fun fact about this disc is that it was the only item added in the 1.18 update, which makes sense considering that was the world gen part of the Caves and Cliffs debacle. Other Side is a great tune. I really don't get tired of hearing it, even after all these years. Similar to Cat, it has a more uplifting feel to it. Just kind of puts you in a good mood, but it stands out as its own thing. Even though the main melody is repeated a lot, I really like it, and it never gets on my nerves. It just keeps me in that cheerful mood. Around the midway point in the song, Other Side does this thing music folk would refer to as a key change. The melody remains largely the same, but more backing instruments add an ominous or foreboding feel to the ending of this disc. It's a cool way to shake up the track, and it's the main reason why I have Other Side so high up on the list. I really, really like this one. But now, oh, shit's about to go down. These final 3 discs, I'm putting up in the S tier. Honestly, these 3 guys are mainly here due to personal bias. I just like them, and I'm sure most people at this point would have a completely different list than me. These are just my absolute favorites. Number 3, Wait. For years and years, Wait has remained one of my favorite music discs in Minecraft. It is just so good. I love everything about it. The drums, the bass, the sweeping synths going on in the background. The middle section is a huge contrast from the rest of the song, but it fits so well. The lack of drums in this middle section really helps sell this mysterious feeling it's going for. Then, when the drums come back in at the end of the song, it really just goes nuts with it and takes the song to a whole nother level, sort of combining the first 2 sections before fading away. So good. I love listening to Wait. But there's just another disc by C418, starting with the letter W followed by A, that I like a tad bit more. Number 2, Ward. For the longest time, I considered Ward to be my favorite disc in the game. It just really resonated with me. It spoke to me. I'm not crazy. I've also just always kind of had a bias towards music with darker tones, minor keys and whatnot. And Ward fits that bill. I mean, it begins with some funeral-ass music. After that, it shifts into a moody tune with more 8-bit sounding instruments that aren't annoying like Relic. It has a really good feel to it. Not to mention we have a total key change switch up in the middle of the track, turning it into something that sounds more hopeful or optimistic. C418 does a great job in nearly all of his discs of switching things up so they never get too repetitive. Ward is another prime example of that, and it just sticks out to me the most. I love it. Me and this guy go way back. But there's just this one disc I think I like a little bit more. Number 1. Creator. I have thought about this placement a lot, trying to determine if any recency bias is at play, but it's been about 2 months since this disc was birthed onto the world, and I still can't get enough of it. Creator is everything I love about Minecraft's music discs turned up to 11. No, not that 11! It has that slightly creepy music box intro before cranking into the real song. We launch into some jaunty sounding strings while a very airy synth plays the main melody, and then more and more instruments are slowly added into the composition, like some proper drums and electric guitar. It then climaxes into the best part of the song. And after everything is done, the music box returns once more to play another unsettling tune before fading away. God damn, I love this one. Just like Ward, I love the darker tone that Creator gives off, and the instrumentation is what really sells this disc for me. I am a little sucker for some nice electric guitars, and they are used perfectly here, along with all the other instruments, of course. Creator is just the perfect disc for my little monkey ears to listen to. Only problem is, it's really hard to get, but that's okay. Well, that's the list. I'm honestly not too sure where most of these discs rank among the larger Minecraft community, so I'm interested to see whether or not you agree with me. I know I definitely have some goofy ass opinions. Please feel free to leave a comment down below, even if 13 is your favorite disc. We don't judge here. I hope you all enjoyed the video and have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Bye!